Jeff, thanks for joining me on a Sunday morning. I know you coach tennis, you play tennis and you coach tennis. What is your business really about?
Originally, I thought my job was as a tennis coach because that was the role. And when I was initially building my business, there was a lot of time for me to be on court and deliver the coaching. As the business has grown, I've become more of a mentor to staff and teaching other people how to teach. And I'd say even that role's developing into more of a business manager role and having staff that can teach other coaches to teach. So over time, it's constantly changing.
And what got you started in tennis coaching?
Gone into the public service in Canberra at a very young age, straight out of college. And after 12 years of working inside offices in the public service as well as the commercial environment in finance and commerce, I took a sabbatical and did some tennis coaching for a friend who was short of tennis coaches during that and never looked back.
What inspires you to do what you do, Jeff?
Doing what I do, I have to be quite embedded in the community. I go into primary schools, I go into secondary schools. I'm deeply connected with quite a large community, and socially I find that quite fulfilling.
What is that biggest challenge? I know you've been in business for a while. What is that biggest challenge that you faced and how did you overcome it?
I don't know if I've ever had a biggest challenge. I think because I was pretty new to being a tennis coach as well as new to running a business, I think it felt like tons of tiny challenges that I was never going to really overcome. It was just about avoiding disaster. And if you avoid disaster, then you keep progressing yourself at the same time as your staff progressing. And you don't really, as soon as you're ready to take on more, you're usually in the deep end and taking on more than you really know how anyway. So I find it's just that.
And talking about taking on more, what's that next stage of growth, do you think, for your business?
So when I started, as I said, I was coaching on court, and then to allow the business to scale, obviously I had to have staff be able to deliver what I deliver as a product so the business could scale. Once I had done that, there was an opportunity for the business to scale again, and we're at a phase now where previously I did the training face-to-face, and now, the peak body in our industry doesn't provide online training, and I find face-to-face training not possible to deliver to my staff of 28, which means, for me, online training my staff is having online training modules to induct my staff and train them and upskill them to the highest level they can be is my priority, and something I have no experience or knowledge in, and hopefully we'll get through it and figure out a way to deliver it. But that's the next challenge.
And how do you find working? I guess you've got to work with a lot of people who are younger in terms of their dedication to the work. And do you find any comments for business owners who have to face a similar situation?
Yeah, most of my staff are between the age of 13 and 20. And so I think when you've got employees, if I had adults, usually an adult's life is defined by their first priority is their family and their second priority is their full-time job. You don't get that with young staff. Their first priority is academic pursuit. Secondly, they might have some recreational sport they play. Thirdly, they'll have their friendship groups. Maybe their family will get a mention in their priorities, but their actual job is sort of a fifth priority, and you do have to design the job to be reasonable with the expectations you place on them. That's probably the drawbacks, in that you can't simply assert what you want from them and they will have enough motivation to do it because it's their number one priority. But the bonuses of working with kids in that space, I find, is that they are in an environment with school where they are receiving feedback constantly, and they are much more capable of taking on feedback and managing their performance effectively with feedback. Whereas I find maybe older employees, even in their early 20s to early 30s, who I'd still consider younger than me, but may struggle with feedback at times at receiving it in a constructive way.
If you had some advice for other businesses just getting started from the path that you took to create a business, what would that be?
Probably that success isn't guaranteed. Enjoy the journey. It's just a matter of solving a bunch of problems consecutively or at the same time. The way the economy is built, you're always going to get more out of a business than a wage. So if you're happy with your wage, then stay on it. And if the wage you pay isn't enough and your industry doesn't provide you enough progression as far as your wage goes, then you'd have to start a business.
So what inspires you to do what you do, Jeff?
Through doing what I do, I have a deep connection with the community, so I get a lot of satisfaction in my role, and helping develop young people into confident, healthy and capable adults, I feel is a good positive contribution to the community.
So we've got the bit for the business spotlight, so
Mm.
that's featuring you. So Jeff, people in Canberra, if they're like, oh, I want to go and meet Jeff and have a chat to him, where do they find you? Because I had trouble finding you myself.
Yeah, I've got a pretty strange marketing model. So from my previous experience coaching, I've been places where I found a lot of the kids weren't that interested in being there. And when I was thinking about how to market the product, when I'd go into schools, some kids would really, really love tennis, but not everyone. And I thought it was better that I came up with a model that got the kids that really wanted to play tennis rather than try and play the numbers game and just get as many kids as I could in. So when I went in, I wouldn't do what other coaches do. I wouldn't give out flyers, and I don't have a website, and there's very few ways you can find me. And so the only way that a kid could find their way to our tennis facility would be to love tennis enough to go home and tell their parents, hey, mum, dad, I played tennis today. I really liked it. The coach's name was Jeff. That's your only clue. Figure that out.
Excellent.